rise quickly, remain briefly, and then disappear equally quickly can also be thought of as illusions. Mirages are illusions, as are dreams, soap bubble patterns, and even thoughts at the end of the day or when we are bored will form them. It can be inferred that flashes and pans are illusions. A large number of cells, microbes, and fungi are illusions. Many photos online are illusions. Computer games are illusions, and movies and TV shows are illusions, too. Dreams are illusions because the dream world lasts for a short time. If one dreams for 100 years continuously, would that be an illusion or reality? Of course, it would still be a dream because the moment that the person wakes up, the dream would disappear. So how could the dream not be an illusion? It can be concluded that no matter how long a phenomenon exists, as long as it disappears completely at some point, it too must be an illusion. Thus, it is possible to conclude that life is an illusion because even someone who lives for 100 years will eventually disappear altogether. So why would that be different? Having dreamed throughout the night, we wake up in the morning, and no matter how much we twisted and turned during our dreams, we no longer care about anything that happened in them because after all, they were fantasies, dreams, and illusions. A dream will not affect our mood or state of mind too much. Here is the question. Since we have deduced that life is an illusion, is it necessary to be sad for our twists and turns in life? Is it necessary to be anxious about things in our life? Is it necessary to struggle hard for things and hunger to reach goals? Is it necessary to make others behave according to our own wills? When the illusion of life disappears, will it not float away as a dream? When the earth we live on disappears completely in the infinite universe and all of humanity disappears as an illusion, what about a single person? To analyze and judge this question, I want to wake you from your dream to let you not be a human being, but rather a celestial being. When you wake up, will you still go into your dream to be nostalgic for something or to fight for someone in your dreams? Of course not, because it was an illusion, a fantasy. Well, life is also an illusion and a fantasy. So shall we be racked by people and things in this illusion? Of course not. Who remembers their grandparents' grandparents? Not to mention the fact that the memories of our grandparents' grandparents are already blurred even in the incomplete memories of our grandparents. Who will remember us 100 years after we die? We take for granted that we have importance in the present, but that is a complete illusion. Many great historical figures have died. They thought that they were important back then, but what about now? The earth goes on turning and humans go on reproducing. The footsteps of civilization never stop marching forward. So it is unnecessary to be too sad when people around us die because death is a normal phenomenon and everyone will die, including ourselves. So never be overly anxious, fearful, or sorry because it is all an illusion. Nobody can control your dream. Who can even control their own life? It is delusional to think that if you do something, you will get something. That is impossible. You cannot secure yourself against all risks and dangers. How can people control your life? You cannot wear shoes when you are supposed to be barefoot, and you cannot stay on the mountain when you are supposed to leave. Cold shoulders cannot be expected when you are thriving and on the way up. That every cloud has its silver lining may be forgotten in despair and adversity. Therefore, never force yourself to learn, suppress yourself to work, or force yourself to do what you dislike and which is against your own better judgment. No matter how successful you are, outstanding or a billionaire, or how glorious your family reputation has been flowing down through many generations, when you wake up, all will have been a dream. Affection and love tactics are the most difficult traps for people to escape. They are the most terrible traps in life. Ask the mortal world what love is. It drives one mad to death. Now think about it. Life is but an illusion. After waking up, everything will be nothing. So is it necessary to be bogged down on affection and love? It might actually be better to live as a beau, a dandy. What people fear most is losing what they own and are most attached to their property, their power and status, their reputation, and of course their most beloved lover. However, they are not at all necessary. What really belongs to you and cannot escape is yours, but if it is not yours, you cannot keep it. Any way one looks at life, it is still an illusion which can be shattered and vanish in a moment. So why make yourself suffer for it? Why not enjoy a natural and unrestrained dream? Has anyone in history been so intelligent and so powerful that they could control everything? Not one. Everyone is acting in a play. They are playing roles, following scripts. If anyone could control all things with their wisdom and power, their fortunes would be as boundless as the East China Sea, and they would live a very happy, healthy, and eternal life forever. Have there been any? Not one. This proves that man is only a grain of sand in a sandstorm, a drop of water in the sea, and that nothing can really be controlled by anyone. So why not just follow predestined relationships and take things as they come? Life will be easier and more natural. People expend a lot of time and effort on their health and appearance, yet regardless of their daily exercise and nutritious eating habits, the sick are still sick and the short-lived still come to untimely ends. No matter how much paint and powder one applies to their face or how much plastic surgery they undergo, wrinkles still creep onto the forehead and cheeks as time passes, and signs of aging become more and more visible every day. These changes cannot be resisted, so why try to fight them when you know that you cannot? Life is too short. Fiddle with this today, fiddle with that tomorrow, and remain confused. You will still get old, fade away, and die. It is a bad deal to live in fantasies, but an even worse one is to indulge them. Do you worry? What do you worry about? You were worried when you were dreaming. What about when you woke up? My point is that there is no need to worry about anything because all of life is ultimately only a dream. There are no real scenarios because life will end. Will all the worry not be gone with the wind? Enjoy the present. Do not worry about tomorrow or the next day. Everyone's life has been predetermined by their destiny, their script. Worry is useless, so why persist with this fantasy, waste your recreation time, and ruin your relaxed mood? Your state of mind is different when you are asleep than when you are awake. Sleeping people lead befuddled lives in their dream worlds of obsession, worry, anxiety, sorrow, and fear. However, fully awake people know that all is but an illusion, so they have neither strong bliss nor intense grief, but are just pleasant, relaxed, and calm. Who are these people? Celestial beings, of course. Within the universe, everything is an illusion except for the greatest creator. People live in illusions because all lives are illusions. In this sense, illusions are reality. Illusions are stages of life. People live one dream after another and live a large number of dreams throughout their lives because lives consist of dreams. Although people live in illusions today, this is really the entirety of human life. Never expect to lead a real life without it being an illusion. Even the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world are all illusions. The differences are that those illusions are more beautiful and splendid and go on much longer. It is very clear that everything is an illusion, but most people are too stubborn, obstinate, and perverse to see them as such and are convinced that they are living in reality. When one awakens from their dreams, their soap bubbles will burst and they will say goodbye to their dream, but they will do it unwillingly and with disappointment and frustration. Knowing that life is an illusion, how does one lead a wonderful life? Whatever it is that makes you happy, joyful, free, and blessed, just do it. Follow your best judgment, have fun, then play. If something bothers you but you need to do it, make a perfunctory effort. No fun. See you later. Better yet, never see you again. Life Chanuan's viewpoint on euthanasia. Xiefeng. August 26, 2019. Translated by Qinyu and translated by Kair. It is extremely difficult for people to live entirely smooth lives. Only a small number of us can do this without ever suffering from diseases. Most of us either die young, are tortured to death by illnesses, die in natural disasters, or are forced to commit suicide by their emotions. Some are killed in the turmoil of war or die from starvation, thirst, exposure, car accidents, and so forth, and are unable to reach the end of their lives naturally and satisfactorily. The most ideal way to end one's life's journey is to go to sleep in good health but not wake up. Another way is to use the Chanyuan meditation. That is, to choose one's day and time of death and then enter meditation to end their journey in this world. Neither method is easy for the public to grasp. Sleeping without waking up is a method that requires a great deal of blessings, and the Chanyuan meditation method requires long-term self-refinement and self-cultivation. So, is there an ideal way for the general public to meet their end? Yes, it is called euthanasia. The general interpretation of euthanasia is to stop medical treatment for patients who cannot be cured so that the patient can die comfortably. Life Genuine's explanation is, anyone who does not want to continue their life, but wants to end it voluntarily should be allowed to do so. People should have the right to decide their own life paths. In fact, most people are kidnapped by their reality, the environment, or by their relatives. They live passively, not actively. We should offer the right to choose and decide their own life's ending to everyone. Anyone who has reached the age of 18, despairs of life, and is willing to end theirs should be offered the option to be euthanized. Regardless of their situation, as long as someone still wants to live, regardless of their age or physical condition, they should be treated, given energy, and the hope to live. How much time is enough for someone to live? A century? A millennium? The truth is that for most people, no amount of time is ever enough. Immortality is everyone's wish. However, life is a short journey of life in the mortal world. In the end, everyone has to part with life. No matter how much they love being alive, ending it is inevitable, and since farewells are inevitable, it is only a matter of time before everyone will sooner or later have to say goodbye. We associate closely with our friends and relatives, but no matter how close our relationships are with them, no matter how much we like them, or how much they want to stay with us, we will eventually have to say goodbye to them and leave. We cannot stay with anyone forever, so since we have to leave them, we should find the most suitable time to do so. Is euthanasia not a kind of farewell? Why bother preventing anyone from leaving? It is better to arrange everything leisurely and give a decent goodbye in a cool and ready manner than to end one's life in a hurry with regrets, remorse, anxiety, and fear, without saying goodbye to those of whom we care. Of course, the vast majority of people would not agree with this life-genuine view of euthanasia, and only those in extreme despair would accept it gracefully. Someone might ask, should we euthanize someone who is 19 years old, healthy, and in the prime of their life with a clear mind and a bright future? It would be the biggest joke ever, but no laughing matter. It would be very cruel. Of course, many people believe that the implementation of euthanasia would be murder if it were not only voluntary but also agreed upon by relatives. But hold on a moment. I have a question. Roughly 1 million people in the world end their lives annually. How many of their relatives have signed on to and agreed with those decisions? Of course, not many. So why would anyone need anyone else's consent if they are willing to end their life? If people could only do this with the consent of their relatives, then few would ever be able to. Of course, this kind of euthanasia requires legislation and a national convention. Otherwise, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to implement. I want to say that we can hardly imagine how many people in this world are living in extreme pain and despair. Many feel tired of life and do not want to continue on, but they have to bite the bullet and continue to live because they are kidnapped. Many others are in pain and are being tortured to death, such as those who are lying in hospital beds for long periods of time while incurable. They need to decide for themselves whether they are willing to accept euthanasia and should not require the consent of any relatives. Now that technology is developed, it is possible to video record the patient's words and wishes. In other words, anyone who voluntarily accepts euthanasia can speak their own mind and record it in an environment in which they are free from any duress, coercion, or kidnapping. Without this legally binding video, euthanasia would not be implemented. If a young person wanted to end their life, their relatives might call them selfish, but who is really more selfish, the young one or the relatives? Actually, I have thought about this. If Life Genuine were to implement euthanasia and hospice care, at least half of the people who want to commit suicide would give up those thoughts, and that number might be saved every year. By the way, it is better to deal with the people after euthanasia in accordance with the arrangement of the Life Genuine funeral system. The more we open up, the easier and simpler things become. The more restrictive we are, the more difficult and complex they become. Life Genuine's view on rejuvenation and longevity. Siefing, rejuvenation and longevity, a desire and pursuit that humanity has cherished for thousands of years, from emperors to common people. Qin Shi Huang dispatched Su Fu with 3,000 men and women to the Penglai fairy island in search of the elixir of immortality. It is said that Li Shimin, the Tang dynasty emperor, died after consuming elixirs like elixir of immortality and 5 stones powder. Peng Zhu, a legendary figure, lived for over 800 years and had 50 marriages. In the Bible, Adam lived for over 900 years. Li Qingyun, a Chinese herbalist in the late Qing dynasty and early Republic of China, lived for 256 years. He had 24 wives and continued teaching at a university even when he was 200 years old. Both the New York Times and Time magazine reported on his longevity. Ordinary people hope for a long life, while practitioners aspire to have forever white hair and youthful appearances, with an air of immortality and profound wisdom. Everything has a natural lifespan, and scientific research indicates that human cells undergo approximately 50 divisions from conception, with each division taking around 2.4 years. As a result, the natural lifespan of a human is estimated to be 120 years. Scientists at the University of California, Berkeley, have identified a longevity gene that can reverse cell degeneration related to aging by extending the cell division cycle. If the cell division cycle could be extended to 5 years, people might live to be 250 years old, while a 10-year cycle could lead to a lifespan of 500 years, and a 20-year cycle could result in living to 1,000 years. And if the cell division cycle extends indefinitely, it could potentially lead to immortality. Scientists have discovered a key area in the brain, the hypothalamus, which controls the aging process. By altering the signals sent to the hypothalamus, it is possible to slow down the aging process, allowing people to remain youthful. They have also found that when the pituitary gland shrinks, the human body rapidly ages. Restoring an aging pituitary gland to a youthful state could stimulate the body's neurological, endocrine, and metabolic systems to function normally, thereby delaying the aging of the body's joints and organs and achieving the ideal of rejuvenation, longevity, and immortality. To this end, the International Longevity Association and the United Nations Institute for Ecological Security have devoted themselves to researching anti-aging substances. After 43 years of research involving 107 experts, they have successfully extracted the miraculous anti-aging substance, the HD element, which rapidly restores the pituitary gland to its youthful state. In ancient legends, there was a woman who, due to her husband's prolonged absence, could not bear the loneliness and engaged in an affair with an elderly servant in her household. However, the elderly servant, being old and frail, struggled to satisfy the woman. In response, she gave the elderly servant a family secret formula called the elixir of the aged servant. After consuming it, the elderly servant underwent a transformation and became young again, eventually fathering 2 children with the woman. However, when the truth came to light, she killed the elderly servant, only to discover that his bone marrow was plump and his bones were strong. Long ago, there is a legend about a young woman who, carrying a wooden stick, was seen chasing an elderly man with snow-white hair along the road. Bystanders were outraged and tried to intervene, only to discover that the young woman claimed she was chasing her own son. It turned out that this young woman was actually over 100 years old. She had been consuming a type of pill made from a family secret recipe, which preserved her youthful appearance. Despite being well over a century old, she remained as agile as a swallow and retained her graceful figure. Her son, on the other hand, repeatedly refused to heed her advice and declined to take the pills she had prepared. As a result, by the time he was in his 70s, he had turned completely gray and aged significantly. This made the elderly woman quite angry, and she often chased after her son, pressuring him to take the pills. These pills were later known as immortal lesson pills. They were later renamed the Immortal Mother's Aging Discipline Pills, and, after being further refined by the renowned physician Hua Tuo, they were given the names Longevity and Vigor Pills and Longevity and Vigor Kidney Nourishing Pills when they were adopted by the Imperial Court's medical establishment. British and Russian scientists believe that aging is a disease, and, like myocardial infarction and cancer, it is curable. They suggest that humans could live up to 1,000 years. Research has shown that telomeres, which control the number of times cells divide, are a key factor. Telomeres are repeated DNA sequences at the ends of chromosomes. With each cell division, telomeres lose approximately 30 to 200 base pairs. Typically, a human's telomeres have around 10,000 base pairs. When telomeres can no longer shorten, the cell can no longer divide. If telomeres could be prevented from shrinking, cells would continue to divide and replicate, just like cancer cells, and people could potentially live indefinitely. Life-Genuine values hold that humans are created by the greatest creator and human lifespans are predetermined. The pursuit of physical immortality goes against the will of the greatest creator because the most just aspect of life on earth is the inevitability of physical death. It's only in the face of death that all individuals are equal. If people were able to achieve immortality, many injustices in the world would persist indefinitely. Emperors, generals, talented individuals, beauties, high-ranking officials, distinguished people, and ordinary people will all eventually die, and only then could new and continuously evolving phenomena emerge. It is through this cycle that people find hope in life. Life is finite, and seeking the infinite in life is as futile as looking for fish on a tree. Our sole endeavor should not be the pursuit of physical immortality, but rather to live our limited lives well, vibrantly, wholly, flavorfully, and without regrets. Not pursuing physical immortality doesn't mean we should not pursue the eternality of life. Human life consists of both physical and spiritual aspects, with the body serving as the vessel for the spirit. The body is mortal, but the spirit is eternal. Therefore, Life-Genuine Celestials do not seek physical immortality. Instead, we seek the eternality of the spirit. We don't invest time, energy, and resources in the physical body, but instead cherish the precious time of our finite lives to nourish the spirit. Because our body cannot reach heaven, only our spirit can reach heaven. Pursuing the eternality of the spirit doesn't mean we don't value the physical body. The body, as the vessel of life, requires maintenance, much like a vehicle or a ship. Therefore, we prioritize the health of the body, we value well-being, and our ideal is for every individual to live 120 years free from illness, free from disasters, and free from pain. After living to 120 years, we utilize the Chanyuan meditation method to discard the vessel of life, the physical body, and joyfully move to the other shore, heading towards the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Islands continent. In this world, I will strive to ensure that Chanyuan Celestials achieve the goal, to enjoy love until the age of 100 and live to the age of 120. So, how can we achieve the goal of enjoying love until 100 and living to 120, and then leave the vessel and go to a higher level of life? Please read the next article, The Transcendence of Time and Space. Misfortune is the starting point of turning points on the journey of life. Xiefeng. January 9th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. As a guide in Life-Genuine, I understand that Life-Genuine members who follow the guide to climb the peak of life know that whether it's the articles I write or myself, everything is presented truthfully and transparently to the public. I have nothing to hide or conceal. I am transparent. I am real. There is no hypocrisy, no artificiality, no pretense, no schemes, no tactics. What I say may not be completely correct, and what I do may not be flawless, but what I say and do is a genuine expression of my true self. I speak out about the insights, experiences, and viewpoints I have gained on my journey of life, hoping that they may have some value as references. I experienced the years of hunger in 1958 and 1960 and almost starved to death. That was misfortune. However, the result of this misfortune is that I have found every meal I eat in my life to be delicious, whether it's the sour taste of Northern cuisine, the spicy taste of Central cuisine, or the sweet taste of Southern cuisine. Whether it's Chinese, Western, or African cuisine, they are all enjoyable. This is because I have a belief in my heart that simply having enough food to fill our stomachs in life is happiness. In 1980, I studied at Zhangjiago Geological Technical School, specializing in being a fitter. During one semester, I was assigned to the automotive repair workshop to learn car mechanics. The master had 2 apprentices, and one day the master asked his 2 apprentices to let me practice driving by taking the car to the school playground. The older apprentice explained to me how to operate the car and then got out of the car. However, the younger apprentice grabbed the steering wheel and started the car, practicing without ever letting me drive. During the practice, students from the fitter class and mechanic class came to the playground for physical education, and the younger apprentice was driving in a reckless manner. It was unfortunate for me that the younger apprentice didn't let me drive, but this misfortune saved me from disaster. Every time I think of that scene sitting in the driver's seat on the school playground, watching the younger apprentice nervously practicing driving, I am grateful that fate didn't let me drive that day. If the person holding the steering wheel had been me instead of the younger apprentice, I could have driven and hit many classmates, with terrible consequences. I might have been born with the qualities to become an official. During my primary school, middle school, technical school, college, and the first semester of university, I was almost always the class monitor. At the age of 18, I became the deputy secretary of a brigade managing 11 production teams. In 1984, I was designated as the director of the third echelon in the geological hydrology third team. In 1988, I was designated as the principal of a school for children of employees in the Geological Bureau. In 1992, I was designated as the director of a prospecting machinery factory. Unfortunately, I messed up all these positions because I didn't take those official positions seriously. Looking back today, this misfortune was actually a great blessing. If I had become an official at the time, according to what my wife said in 1993, I would have already been the governor of Gansu province. If that were the case, there would be a 90% chance that I would have become a corrupt official and could have ended up in prison. Even if I didn't end up in prison, my name would certainly be infamous throughout history. In 1994, while I was abroad, the official's vehicle broke down. I was asked to drive it to Blavoy, more than 200 kilometers away, for repairs. As I was the translator, no one else could handle it. The owner of the repair